In this next part of the conference, we're going to be focusing on two aspects. The results and outputs from the 10 projects within the current program, and on the experiences of the training and consultancy activities of the ECML, which have held a series of workshops, national workshops, in different member states over the past 4 years. Today, you will have the opportunity to take part in 4 different thematic sessions involving a total of 20 ECML projects and training and consultancy activities. This will give you the opportunity to see all the resources that have been produced and which of the training and consultancy activities are perhaps particularly relevant to your needs and context. In a sense, the outputs that we produce are the legacy of the projects. They are what are left when the projects have ended or moved on to a new phase of activity. The training and consultancy activities, which can be requested by the member states on an annual basis, on the other hand, are intended to mediate the resources and outputs from former ECML projects and to help them to be adapted or tailored to national or regional contexts. So there's a natural progression in a way from an ECML project which has developed outputs to a training and consultancy activity which can train multipliers to use these or to support their implementation in different national contexts. We've called this session, "How can we make the most of ECML resources?" I already had the question, does that mean financial resources? No, it doesn't. It means the websites and the outputs of the projects on this occasion. There is a question mark at the end of the sentence, and it's there for a purpose, because we certainly don't claim to have mastered the process of ensuring that the results of projects can be seamlessly integrated into national contexts and used by everyone for whom they would be beneficial. The ECML is an organization, as an organization, can only support to a limited degree the extent to which the outputs and resources are actually taken up, adapted and used in the member states. We initiate this process in the hope that it will start a chain reaction. However, we rely very heavily on our partners and the networks at national level to support this process. So it's therefore you that we're addressing today with a request to help us in this process. But first, we need to explain what it is in the treasure trove and convince you that of its value. By the end of today, having been to various different sessions, I hope that you'll be more than happy to apply all the means and channels at your disposal to promote their use. So what are the new resources? The new resources come in a wide variety of different formats. Every project has produced a series of different web-based resources. In all cases, it's intended that they are practical in nature. We have guides and guidelines for teachers. 2 examples of these are the quick guide on how to help adult migrants develop work-related language skills, and the and an assessment guide for classroom-based testing in sign language. Others are interactive survey-based tools for self-evaluation, such as the roadmap survey tool to help schools to support the language of schooling, or training courses for teachers. For example, a Moodle platform focusing on digital literacy for the teaching and learning of languages. There is a palette of user-friendly tools, including videos, quizzes, games, which can all be used for different types of audience. The Inspiring Language Learning in the Early Years project has, for example, produced a myth or fact quiz about language learning for young learners, which could, for example, be used with parents. But why are they anything different? Why are they anything special? Firstly, they're unique because they're based on the priorities as they've been priorities in language education as identified by the member states of the ECML. They build on the rich body of work of the Council of Europe and cooperate together. For example, the Guide for Teacher Competences for Languages in Education developed a taxonomy of categories of teacher competences that was subsequently adapted for sign languages by the ProSign project. They have all involved practitioners in all the different member states of the ECML who have been able to contribute to their development and or have piloted the results in the different countries. So as such, they take into account very different contexts in different countries. 6 of the 10 projects in the current program that have produced outputs will offer training and consultancy activities over the 4 coming years. Through these, they will be able to address the results to the target groups in member states and help in adapting them and customizing them for different environments. The resources developed over the past 4 years cover different levels of education, going from early language learning to tertiary level. This graphic indicates the primary target audiences of the outputs. In the great majority of cases, 8 out of 10, they're aimed at teachers, language teachers, and teacher educators. They focus on addressing issues. Those focusing on addressing issues at whole school level target head teachers, so hence there are 2 head teachers indicated in the audience here. Policy makers and curriculum developers are also targeted where resources are at the level of the curriculum itself. Promotion is one of the greatest challenges of the ECML, trying to improve its outreach. Potentially, there's a huge audience. At a very rough estimate, there are 3.75 million teachers in the schooling system in the member states of the ECML. A large proportion of these are language teachers. When I looked at the list of teachers in my daughter's school in Graz and what the subjects that they were teaching, I saw that 50% of the teachers there were also teaching a language. If you broaden this further to go to the level of the children within the education system, there are around 35 million households with children at a schooling age. How can we possibly reach these people who can benefit, and these are the people who can really benefit from the resources? Unfortunately, we don't have a huge Instagram presence just yet with any of the Kardashians or people like that. Fortunately for us, this is where you can come in. One of the strongest aspects of the ECML, as hopefully you already witnessed yesterday, is its networking function. It is in particular through the networks listed here that we can reach at least a part of this large audience. The Centre's national contacts, in particular the national contact points, but also the governing board and the national nominating authorities who are responsible for selecting participants to come to the ECML activities. They offer a very effective system of national dissemination. Many of the projects also build up large-scale networks within their lifetime. This has in particular been the case with the EOL network, Learning Environments Where Modern Languages Flourish, which has involved a network of over 75 schools and hundreds of individuals. The Language for Work network has also involved a very large number of individuals and professional organizations engaged in work-related language learning for adult migrants and ethnic minorities. Our partners here in the Professional Network Forum for Language Education also offer us access to a large international network of associations in the field of language education and assessment, which is further supported by an online directory we have for teacher associations, which contains the details of approximately 400 associations. Also, through its School Education Gateway, among others, the European Commission offers access to another very valuable network to promote new developments and tools. The Gateway recently promoted the results of the Action Research Communities project. We very much value your support in promoting the resources and activities of the ECML, and we're also very keen to introduce new partners in this process. So what makes a difference? Based on the previous outputs produced by ECML projects, there are a few things that we can say that are likely to lead to a wider take-up or interest in a particular resource. A recommendation to use a resource from a respected source, either at a practitioner level or within the educational media or at a policy level, are all likely to carry particular weight. We publish all resources in 2 working languages of the projects. However, to go beyond these, we rely on volunteers at national level to support further translation. A request to translation is a very simple procedure. It's just an email to the ECML, which is always accepted. And it is an effective way of promoting take-up. The Language for Work Quick Guide that I referred to earlier has already been translated into 16 languages. Generic resources can also be customized in a particular context to make them more relevant. One example could be producing a further case study showing how it is used in a particular setting or could be used in a particular setting. Additional support provided by the ECML to run a national training and consultancy workshop can also provide a very effective way of introducing the resources or approaches developed to a particular group. It can also help to form networks and communities of practice. Lastly, we have a request for you. You're all here today in different capacities and with different specializations. And over the next few hours, you'll be participating, possibly in somewhat cramped conditions, but still participating, or watching online a series of thematic sessions. When you hear about a resource or a training and consultancy activity or an approach that is particularly relevant to your context, we would ask you to consider when you return home, what can you realistically do to benefit either from it either directly or to promote it in your context. Depending on your particular role, some of the examples might be just to use it in your work, to peer review it and pass that information on to colleagues, to use the networks that you have at your disposal, the newsletters and academic articles, blogs, websites. You could consider translating it, or even not translating all of it, but translating a part of it. A lot of the ECML resources are developed with that in mind, that not all of it may be translated, but part of it can be. Or you can request training and consultancy for practitioners or multipliers in your country, or simply invite the authors or one of the authors to an event you're organizing. Over the next couple of months, we'll be drip feeding you with information about the resources as the different language versions are finalized and become available. Even if you only do one of these things for one resource, you will still be contributing significantly to making the most of ECML resources.